Hi, my name is Rayanne, and I'm here sharing my experience of being a child in this world and how I died when I was 5 years old. We stayed in a village in a little town, and we were very poor. We stayed in a shack. It was me, my brother, and my mother. My mother was always gone early in the mornings and only returned very late in the evenings. And my brother worked during the day at a place where he packed boxes from one trucks to other trucks at a delivery company. And I was mostly at home on my own, alone, since I was 4. So it was only a year that I had stayed by myself at home alone, and I hadn't started school yet. I would only start school at 6 years old, and I was only 5 at the time. And one evening my brother came home and he said to me, "Come." And I took his hand, and we took a taxi, and I remember falling asleep on the way to where we were going, and I wasn't sure where we were going, but I trusted my brother, very much so. And we came to another town. I didn't know where. I hadn't seen it before because I'd only been always in my own town. All I'd known is everybody with whom I stayed in my own town, my own street, the own shack within which we stayed. I never had shoes, and my favorite clothes was a red skirt and a blue top, and I had a butterfly doll, and that's all I had. That was mine. And I had warm clothes, but only one warm pants, one warm jacket, and we could only bath once a week. So we were very poor. We almost had nothing, and we had always just enough to eat. So we were able to take care of ourselves at least. And then we came to the next town, and my brother took my hand again and we walked. But this time it was a town, and there was houses, like nice houses, not shacks, but actual nice houses. And my brother knocked on the door, and this huge big woman answered the door, and I walked in, and then another man. As I was walking in past the big woman, another man walked in, and he shook my brother's hand and he said thank you, and he gave my brother lots and lots and lots of money, like lots. It was in a black bag, and my brother opened it and there was lots of money in it. My brother closed the bag, and then he went down on his knees and he gave me a hug and he said goodbye. And I was standing there and I was crying because I didn't understand what was going on. I mean, I said nothing on the way there because I trusted my brother. And I just started crying when he said to me goodbye, and the man gave my brother the money because I didn't understand what was going on at all. And he walked away, and the woman took me by my neck at the back here, and she just held me here because I wanted to try and run away to my brother. And he just turned his back on me, and I didn't see him again. Well, I didn't see anyone in this world again after that. And so the house in which I stayed had bars everywhere. And the woman took me, and there were still tears in my eyes, And the woman took me and said, I will now be working for her, and I will not see my mother and my brother again. I am now her child. So my brother sold me to become someone else's slave. And I was never paid anything. I was a slave within two people's house at 5 years old. And she showed me what I must do. How to clean, how to do the sheets. At 5 years old, I had to clean and be a slave to two other people. And she said to me, I will be like her own daughter. But parents don't treat their children in that way. At all. And then one evening, I had my own little room, but it was always locked. Only when I had to clean would she open it up and have me clean the house. And I was almost 6 years old. I had no way of escaping. No one ever came to their home at all. There was always either the man or the woman there to make sure that I don't get out. And they probably wanted me to stay there for as long as they could keep me there. If I didn't die, I probably would have stayed there. But one evening, the woman came in, and she was angry because I didn't properly clean a glass table, and she took a vase and she knocked my head. When she knocked my head, one of the pieces went inside my head here on the side. She knocked it inside, and one of the pieces lodged into here, into my head, and I started bleeding. And they couldn't take me to the hospital or anywhere else because they were afraid I would speak. And so she left me in the room to die and bleed to death. And that's what happened. There was just blood strewing out all over my face. And she locked the door and she left me there to bleed to death. And after they'd made sure that I'm dead, they took my body and they buried it in their own backyard, very deep. And to this day my mother still thinks that I'm missing. And she cannot go to the police either. There are so many children going missing of which no one is aware, and how many parents exist in despair and sorrow because they have no help. Such as my mother. Thank you.